All right, time for a follow up. Because sometimes I just get into the groove and just want to stream, but you want to divvy it up. You finish a video, you start a new stream for the next video. Sometimes we do marathons, but that doesn't always work out well for the viewers. Some people might not realize that a 3 hour video might contain three separate videos being riffed instead of just the one. But in this case, we are going to look at a video titled "No Knowledge of No Knowledge of Bible Creation." This is actually part one, and we're only going to go so far into it because this is a new one for us to cover, but not a new one to people who follow a lot of the atheist community, at least certain elements of it. And I feel bad for this, like I'm almost picking on somebody, but this guy's history, it at least begs for me to take a look at a video in earnest in this reactionary format I do. We got Russ's Movie Corner, where he describes his channel as playing games, reviewing movies, enough said. However, for some reason, let me do a little old man mode zoom in here. In between doing videos on James Bond retrospectives, let's see, what else? Actually, it gets a little harder to find. Struggling with Earth's true shape, part 31. Oh, geez. It's supposed to be games and movies, but oh, look, he's hitting Simon Dan. He's doing Bible stuff. He spends more time doing religious stuff than he does just. Oh man, it just goes into it as you get further back. Only aware of this guy because he had done a video reacting to Emma Thorne, and Emma responded to that. She actually kept him didn't say the name of the channel or anything because she didn't want people going out there and going after him. But of course, being the sleuths we are, we eventually found it. And oh man, I hadn't looked through and seen that. Oh, this just is just how it goes. I mean, I'm not criticizing someone for being all over the place with their content, but the focus is supposed to be movies and then games and stuff. But it's more this than anything else at this stage. You get miniature painting miniatures for like Warhammer and stuff. Cool. But then you got, these debunks. It's like, dude, this is way mixed. I mean, again, I'm one to talk. My channel went from gaming and some clip content and conventions that I went to being dead, and then all my atheist and live reaction content. But the channel's kind of just what I want at the time I want it to be. It's just, here's Yamato on YouTube. Here's the stuff I create. It's not really themed to the same degree. Um, yeah, I just wanted to point out who we were, not to say dealing with, but that, yeah, this is a channel with all of 148 subs, but he has his reasons for things. I mean, he gets his clicks off Sideman Dan and the like, which is totally understandable. The Hoven videos are my thing. But, like, look, a rant on Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. There's some good stuff right there, nestled right in between Noah's Ark and Christy Burke, whoever the hell that is. I'm talking about them. There's the Emma Thorne, some of the Emma Thorne's videos. Yeah, it's like 9 parts to an Emma Thorne reaction. It's crazy. But again, enough about him. There's the preamble for this stream. We're almost 5 minutes in. Let's get to the video where he watches someone else's video on I guess the subject of Bible creation. And I'm going to be as nice as I can be in this, but once he crosses the line, because there's always the line. Once he crosses it, I'm not gonna be nice. So this is what it is. I hadn't watched this video beforehand. I just saw enough of it to see that the quality is pretty rough, but I'm not gonna give him crap over it. I like that the guy does the other content he does and hopes he pursues that, and I hope he pursues that further and refines. It's pretty fun hearing him talk about that stuff in the little bits I've watched. But when he gets into the religious stuff, it's just, yeah. All right, let's do this.
Hello and welcome back to Russ's Movie Corner. My name is Russ, and as you can see, I'm sitting in front of my movie corner.
And sadly, I am blocking him halfway, but you're not missing anything. It's the boring part of the frame. But it's just funny that's like, oh, you got picture in picture. You got the video he's watching, then you got Rush, and then you got Tomato there. And of course, the classic movie corner, which, hey, see, he's got a theme going on. That is most definitely a movie corner. I can jive with that.
Have my God the Father t-shirt on, my Bible, the Epic miniseries right next to me, and judging by the frame around me, we are back, taking down another atheist. Today on the chopping block is a guy known as the Sarcastic Skeptic, which is going to become hilariously funny here shortly. This video is called Ken Ham Exposed, the hilarious failures of his arc and creation nonsense. I know
It sounds like a good video.
it kind of cuts off there towards the end, but that's because my video player only goes for so long. So, I watched about half of this video before I decided that I just needed to kind of jump in and start doing this right away, because this is just hilarious in the amount of presupposition going on, and also just the amount of fail on his own theory. Like, the guy is super ignorant of his own theory. And so I was like, man, this just...
Soot, I didn't see he had reacted to Creaky a few times. Amazing. I wonder if I'm going to be on the chopping block next after this. Oh, trust me, Russ, I'd rather not get into beef with you. But, come what may, I guess.
needs to be exposed. It needs to be shown for just how just bad this truly is. And if you are an atheist, if you are an evolution,
And that little volume gain as he leaned in right there is an example of why compression is so useful on audio recording of just about any type, where the consistency is more important than the raw dynamics. I'm not criticizing him there. It's just that is a beautiful example where compression software would have leveled that out nicely. That's just textbook example. Yeah, kind of stuff I wish I freaking had instead of just a Logitech headset plugged into my computer. I could plug in the laptop and have webcam, but as soon as you fire up a, restream, the laptop fan goes all crazy, and it's like, I'm afraid this thing's gonna blow up. I know it can handle it, but still don't like it.
evolutionist, if you like the evolution theory at all, his level of ignorance should actually make you angry. Okay? Like, you should be going over to his videos instead of coming and commenting on my videos and telling me how I don't understand evolution. You should be going to his video and going, dude, the next time you want to make a video attacking someone, stop with the emotions, start with some logic, and actually do some research before you just start popping off with nonsense.
Yeah, based on the description, that's sort of the crux of Russ's comments here, is that this video is ad hom and it's all emotional. It's not really full of science, not full of facts, what have you. Russ, to that I say, can't a person do both? Can't a person be critical of both ends of things? I mean, if he's truly wrong, if he's truly, as obviously ignorant as he seems, as you present him to be on this, then, maybe someone should call him out, but there's no reason they can't call you out as well if they feel the urge. But I get where you're coming from.
Because that's what this is. This video is full of nonsense. And content warning, where I've used some language in the past, this guy's going to let fly with language from the outset.
Just like me. Fuckers of the same kind, baby.
So, just be forewarned, this guy's way more foul-mouthed than I have ever been, okay? Just because I'm trying to be a little better about that, Okay, I'm imperfect. I'm a human being. I'm going to screw up. I'm going to let some four-letter words fly every once in a while, and I will probably let some fly on this video just because that's how idiotic this guy truly is. Okay?
Yeah, you just let out a four-letter word there. This. T-H-I-S. You monster.
But that being said, this guy flies off the handle with ad hominem attacks straight from the off. So, without any further ado, let's jump in and take this guy on.
Ken Ham is a fucking catastrophe wrapped in a Bible cover. This guy has somehow convinced millions of people that...
Bruh. That's fucking AI voice, yo. Seriously, Russ? Oh, man. You're not taking this serious, are you? Okay. Let's roll with it, man.
that science is fake news. The Earth is 6,000 years old, and dinosaurs once strolled around with humans like oversized dogs.
Okay, so let's just address the elephant in the room. Do young Earth creationists believe that dinosaurs walked around with humans? Yes.
Yep, and that's pretty stupid.
Actually have evidence of that, where there are actual human footprints in the same area as dinosaur footprints.
Except those aren't human footprints.
Okay? And as Ken Ham and Kent Hovind have explained in the past...
Oh! Oh, he brought up Hovind. Oh! We come full circle, baby! We're in the zone! The cow zone! I want to eat. I ain't had breakfast. I'm eating a Pop-Tart right now. I had some crackers earlier. We're in the zone! Let's keep going.
This was likely due to the fact that during the rising flood waters, okay, as humans were trying to run away, the bigger dinosaurs would have left bigger tracks. And it would have been easier because it would have compacted the soil down a little bit. It would have been easier to follow along with those dinosaurs. Okay? And let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. Were there dinosaurs on the Ark? Yes, there were. Okay?
Did Noah take two of every dinosaur? Probably babies. A pink one and a blue one? Yeah.
So, do we think that dinosaurs were like big dogs? No. Okay? That's where we get the legends of dragons from. Okay? In fact, if you...
Wow, this dude's just a bog standard creationist. Nothing out of the ordinary yet. And that means that everything you're saying has been addressed ad nauseum, Russ.
Read the Epic of Beowulf, he describes the dragon Grendel as being a very ugly-looking monster. And I don't know about you, but that thing on the screen right there is an ugly-looking monster.
Dude, you talking shit about dinos. That ain't cool. That thing's fucking awesome. Honestly, reconstruction of dinosaurs, they all look pretty badass. Definitely be terrifying to be up against. Oh yeah, anything bigger than you with that kind of dentition. Pretty scary. But it's not ugly. It's beautiful. For the most part, life is pretty damn beautiful. And I mean that most living organisms, even the ones I absolutely hate, there is a beauty about them. Something I can just appreciate in the nature of it being an organism. You would see it as a beauty of design. Same parts of the brain would be firing, but I don't think it's designed. But that ain't ugly, bro. That ain't ugly. That thing's badass. Love that stripe pattern right there. And yes, I know it's a computer-generated rendering. No one has to criticize me on that. I'm just saying.
Okay? Some people might think it's beautiful or cute, but it's an ugly-looking monster. If that was living in your backyard, would you want it around?
Oh, man. I wanted to jump in the Armando thing, but by the point I was even considering doing videos, he was already in the army, which terrifies me that an idiot like that is somehow actively serving in this country's military. Um, then again, look at who the commander in chief is. Um, but he hadn't had anything of value that I've wanted to mess around with. He's been too busy actually doing stuff that actually matters in the world. And if it wasn't for the fact everyone else had went over his garbage book and stuff, I'd rip into that. But Logic and everyone else have tore into it 18 Ways to Sunday. There's nothing new for me to do. Armando Calvo. What a special case he is.
Or would you want to kill it? I think you'd probably want to kill it. Hence, Dragon Slayers. Now, I think what has happened is that over the years, as people slayed dragons, what we now call dinosaurs, which literally dinosaur is just Latin for terrible.
And yeah, that's what I was thinking, Laura, but I didn't want to open mouth, insert foot, that Grendel was not the dragon. Yeah, I was pretty damn sure of that. And while I've done paused, I can go back to Soot Kettle's comment. Noah Osborne with his one-hit wonder, Ark at the Moon. That's featured in Grand Theft Auto Jerusalem.
Blizzard. The dragons, as they were known then, would have been what we know as dinosaurs today. But think about it this way. If you think about, when you were a kid, or maybe you've been an adult, you've been out fishing with someone, you've been out hunting with someone.
Hey, have any of you guys been an adult? I've been an adult. You heard him say that, right? Jump back. It's funny.
If you think about, when you were a kid, or maybe you've been an adult, you've been out fishing with someone.
Or maybe you've been an adult. Maybe you've been an adult, then went back to being a kid. What? That's just funny. I ain't giving them crap over it. It's just freaking funny, some of the stuff people say. That's why I have to, be self-conscious of my own stuff and laugh at my own statements. We all flub up as we talk. Sometimes it's funny, and I just thought that one was humorous. I'm actually enjoying this.
You've been out hunting with someone. They shoot down or they miss a bird. The line breaks, and they just get a glimpse of the fish, right? And it starts out, man, that fish was this long. And by the time they're done telling the story, how big is the fish? Yeah, pretty big, right? Okay, as long as you can stretch out your arms. Okay, and I think that's kind of what happened with the Legend of the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Slayers, originally, they were killing what we now call dinosaurs. And then they were coming home to a hero's reception, and they're like, yeah. Then what? The legend grows over time. Pretty soon, it's kind of like, hey,
what a wonderful kind of day. I'm too damn old to be quoting Arthur, but god damn it, if you hear that song once, it's stuck in your head for life. And the memes. The memes are good.
I was in a firefight with 10 people. Now, 5 of them could have been on my side, and 5 of them could have been on the other side. And by the end of the telling, okay, I'm killing people right, left, right, and center. Okay.
Whoa! That got a little extreme.
Okay. This happened during World War II. Okay. People were coming home from World War II, and their stories were being told. And unless it was being told by an impartial third party, okay, pretty soon that person's story was, oh wow, he was standing in a valley surrounded by 100 Japanese soldiers or 100 Nazis, and he was being, and he was beset on all sides, and he was just knocking them down left, right, and center. And
hang on a minute, Russ. Are you trying to tell me that Cotton Hill didn't kill 50 men? Them's fighting words, Russ.
The guy that actually was in the firefight is probably going, it was 10 people, and I wasn't beset on all sides. I had, like, my squad with me. There was, like, 5 or 6 of us. and there was
But in all seriousness, yeah, people exaggerate, but people also make up things. And the dragon has traditionally been understood to be a fanciful amalgamation of all our instinctual fears. And metaphorically, a symbol of overcoming ultimate adversity. The dragon is sort of the antipode to the human in this construct, which is quite a beautiful thing to think about. I've never thought about it till now, but it really is. Makes me appreciate Guild Wars more.
10 guys, and like 3 or 4 of my guys went down, and I, like, killed 4 or 5 of them before I was able to grab my buddy and hightail it out of there and save his life, but like 2 of my friends died. But by the end of it, he's out there almost alone, or maybe with one other person, heroically, Die Hard style, grabbing his buddy, like throwing him over one shoulder.
Is there any Die Hard film where dude's carrying a buddy? I only watched the first one, even though I have like the DVD trilogy set from way back when. So only watched the first one. And all I remember is it was John McClane taking care of business on his own. Am I mistaken? Die Hard experts, fill me in.
And just like, just like mowing Nazis down, right? So that kind of thing happens. And so we see where a Tyrannosaurus Rex grows into Smaug, right? This
No.
great and terrible lizard that is just gigantic. He's serpentine. He's scary. He's got yellow reptilian eyes. Oh my goodness. Now we're actually starting to get somewhere. Okay? Why is it?
You know who else had yellow reptilian eyes? General Grievous. Then he got shot.
That like, we would say like dinosaur skin was very tough. I mean, because we know that like lizard skin is actually very tough as well. And we say, okay, so dinosaurs are just great lizards. Okay, well, okay, their skin is very tough. Their hide is very tough. They were probably very difficult to kill. That's why.
Except they're not lizards because their physiology is known different, demonstrably different, obviously different in many ways.
Why you were lauded as a hero if you were able to bring one down, especially something like a T-Rex, right? Because T-Rexes, as we all know, stand about 25, 30 feet tall. Okay? If you're a...
Oh, yeah, everybody knows that. T-Rex about 25, 30 feet tall. Yeah, we all know that. Bruh.
6 foot, 7 foot human in the Middle Ages...
6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch.
Or before that, okay, and your village is being terrorized and you take one down, all of a sudden you're the local hero. And it goes back to the Chinese zodiac. Okay? Why would the Chinese zodiac feature 11 real-world animals and one myth?
Symbolism, metaphor, artistic style, whatever. Hey, you know why the Shih Tzu breed exists? They're bred to look like the Chinese lion concept. That's why those little fuckers exist. It's also fantasy. But they fucking bred a dog to look like it. It's almost as if people like to do things. People come up with ideas and like to just roll with it for enjoyment. You should know this. You like movies and video games. How are you not getting this?
Doesn't make much sense, does it? No, probably because there were actual things such as dinosaurs. Okay? In fact, in one of the apocryphal books of Daniel, okay, in the book of Daniel, there's a couple of apocryphal chapters that were added later on to the book of Daniel, okay, that were later taken out by Jewish scholars because they were not written by Daniel.
Yes, so we should take out all the parts of the Bible that weren't written by who they're attributed to. Okay. Well, let's just throw the whole goddamn book in the trash.
what did they say? Nebuchadnezzar talks about having a pet dragon. Okay?
The dramatic pauses, I think, are just very well timed moments for him to think about what he's going to say next. Also, he's made it all of 12 seconds in his video and he's still rambling.
That was likely a brontosaurus of some kind, or a sauropod dinosaur of some kind. And, like, Daniel says, give me leave and I can kill that thing very easily. So he took pitch, fat, and hair. Okay? Pitch to make things stick together. Fat because it's salty tasting. And hair because it doesn't digest. Okay?
Now, Laura, I can totally see that as being a thing.
Okay? And he made lumps of this stuff and he feeds it to the dinosaur. And the dinosaur's eating it up. Because it's salty tasting. They love salty tasting things. Animals love salty tasting things. It's why it's like, you know, they have a freaking salt lick in the middle of a thing. It's why, like, if you step out on a beach and there's a dog around and you're like at the ocean and you step out of the water, they'll run up and start licking your leg because the water's salty tasting. Okay.
And if you give them enough time, they'll start doing something else to your leg. But, you know, according to Hovind, all the animals know who to mate with. Apparently my leg is part of the dog kind.
And so this dinosaur's just eating him up, and then it burst. Because the pitch gets stuck in the intestines, and the hair won't digest. And after a while, it backs up in there, and the animal burst. Okay.
This man's talking about popping animals by forcing them to be constipated. What the fuck have we stumbled into, ladies and germs? I'm having fun. Are you having fun? If you're having fun, be sure to hit the like button. Alternately, check out the various other places I am online with the links down below. Order now and receive one free fingernail clipping. Offer only available in California. I don't know. Let's continue.
So, what would that be if it wasn't a sauropod dinosaur? Because it was gigantic. It was described very much as the behemoth is described in Job. Okay?
Yes, the elephant that is a behemoth. It's amazing that all the atheists know the Bible better than the Christians.
And a behemoth is not an elephant or a rhinoceros, because it's described as having bones like bronze and a tail like a cedar tree.
No, the tail sways like a cedar. The Middle Eastern cedar. My lovely audience has made sure to make that point several times, as compared to the American cedar. North American cedar, I should say. How many times do we have to keep teaching you idiots this lesson?
Elephants and hippos don't have tails like cedar trees. Their tails...
Yeah, they sure sway like them, though, as the verbiage is. Do I need to look it up?
are just these little tiny things. Let's continue.
It's not just dumb, it's aggressively, offensively dumb. And the worst part? He's made a career out of this bullshit, raking in millions of dollars while dragging the rest of us into his intellectual cesspool.
Okay. So, if you're not taken in by that, then who is he dragging into his intellectual cesspool?
Oh, good. I was unmuted the entire time I was looking up that crap. See, I got keyboard clacks, whatever. At least I caught myself. Let's see. Schools that go to field trips to this thing and to where the kids get indoctrinated into these particular religious beliefs. And because the school's teaching it, they believe it's true. because they're not going to lie to them, thus altering the kid's perceptions of reality potentially forever, and usually not for the better. In fact, analytically, not for the better at all, since they're fundamentally wrong at that point. Just maybe, just one way to phrase the harm of it. I don't know. My audience will tell you. They'll tell you what the harm is.
You see, this is where people like this are extremely closed-minded. Okay? They refuse to even entertain.
Wasn't and elephant.
Any other idea than evolution. Evolution is it. That's all it is. And if you don't believe in it, you're stupid and dumb like Ken Ham or Ken Hovind. And then they'll turn around and say, you know, those guys are closed-minded. They won't entertain any other ideas. Oh no, they've entertained the ideas. They've just dismissed them as being scientifically impossible. That's the point, son. So,
Rush, you're gonna call somebody son? Bruh. You're not earning points, man. You think you're Hovind? Last night I stressed, no one would talk to me like that. Just saying. You don't. Have some respect, Russ.
you have to come up with an idea or some kind of thing as to why this idea of a 6,000-year-old Earth as being intellectually offensive or intellectually a cesspool. Okay? And if you can,
I would like to point out that when we were talking earlier about the tail cedar thing, Job 40:17, going KJV to match with Hovind's requirements, 17 reads, quote, "He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together," referencing external testes, and he moveth his tail like a cedar. Well, how does, Middle Eastern cedar move? That swaying motion? Because they're just the way they are? Moving like a tree. Not his tail is like a cedar. Move. Motion. Those are key. I love having this stupid-ass book explained to me by people who are obviously too illiterate to be able to fucking read and understand what it says.
then I'm sorry to say, you're more closed-minded than every other creationist on the planet. Because we've entertained those ideas, we've looked at those ideas, and we've dismissed them only because they're scientifically improbable.
Yes, they are not concordant with reality. That's kind of critical to something being believable and being real, is its concordance with actual fucking reality.
If not scientifically impossible. That's the point, son. We're not saying that science doesn't...
There he goes saying son again. You're about to be put in the category of outright pricks there, Russ. Be careful. I say to the video that was pre-recorded, and uploaded a month ago.
Doesn't exist. This is one of the presuppositions that he is going to get into here very quickly. He's going to get off into the weeds of presuppositions.
No. As I've said in a lot of recent Hovind videos, we've moved past all this. It's no longer a presupposition. We're done with all the quandary of this. It's all been done. All the science, all the understanding has been done. We've moved past it. And you idiots still want to keep arguing shit that we've understood for decades, centuries, millennia in some cases. Get over it.
Very, very quickly. And one of his first presuppositions is going to be that Ken Ham, and by extension all creationists, myself included, okay, absolutely hate the idea of science. Everything to do with science.
Yes, you do. You say you don't. But the fact that the moment scientific principles conflict with your magic book of bullshit, you throw them out and fight tooth and nail to say that the scientists are lying, that it's just wrong, it's a conspiracy. Yeah, you fucking hate science.
It's just gone under the Bible. Gonna need a source on that one, buddy.
Start with his whole shtick about historical science. According to Ken, we can't trust anything scientists say about the past because, and I quote, we weren't there.
Okay. Were you there at the moment of creation? Doesn't matter if it was the Big Bang or God saying...
Were you there when I gave you the finger just now? I'm doing it right now. Are you here? Do you believe I'm doing it? Given my character traits, the archetype of person I am, my bombastic behavior, do you believe that I'm actually giving the finger to the screen right now? 'Cause I am. Hell, where's my goddamn phone? Let me... Here, hang on. If y'all are in the Discord. We're going to be in the Discord, right? Here we go. Chris middle finger. Here we go. All right. And now I'm putting that shit in the Discord. As I get notifications from Soot Kettle on compressors and gates and stuff. Holy shit, I do not have space for that, Soot. Here. You in my Discord. There you go. There's me giving the finger to Russ right now. There, I did it. Audience, tell me, leave in the chat. Did you see, and you're in the Discord, did you see that image?
Be like, were you there? No? Oh, okay. Then how do you know? And conversely, how does science, exclamation point trademarked, how does that know?
Because the scientific methodology is extremely well refined in using known properties of reality to find and corroborate evidence that matches with a hypothesis. For us to figure out how the hell shit works. The very technology you're using to make this fucking video is based on the exact same principles and methodologies that have shown us the fact, I'm gonna fucking say it, the fact of evolution. Because at this point it is a fucking fact, insofar as anything can be a fact. Outside of mathematical proofs. But you assholes want to eat your cake and have it too. Science is good when it brings you the internet and shit. But it sucks when it goes against magic book of bullshit. Up yours, Russ.
Put no in a big quotation marks. Okay? How do they know what happened at the moment of creation? Does anybody? Save God himself? No. That's the point Ken Ham is trying to make. Now comes the logical fallacies of false equivocation. Listen to this.
All right, buddy. I'm listening.
No, Ken, we weren't fucking there. But that's not how science works.
Yes. Oh, good shit.
We weren't there to see the continents drift or the glaciers form either, but we can still study the evidence they left behind. That's literally the point of science, to figure out what happened based on observable data. If we followed Ken's logic, we'd have to throw out forensics because the detective didn't witness the murder.
He's gonna claim this is false equivalence? Alright, let's see how you wrap around that, fucker.
Did you catch that? Okay. He's saying, okay, because Ken is saying that we weren't there at the moment of creation. We can't know for certain what happened at the moment of creation and after creation because, and I quote, we weren't there. That's the point. Scientists weren't there. This guy wasn't there. I wasn't there. You weren't there. Nobody was there. Okay? In the words of Job 38, when God comes down and asks Job, the biggest rhetorical question in the whole freaking thing, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth?
What's your point? Get to it.
I mean, what if God were to, like, show up at this guy's house right now and be like, you said some really bad things about me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth, boy?
Wow, he threw out a boy in there. Holy fuck. You would wind up as a statistic if you called someone boy in Memphis. Let's get that very clear. You would be just another statistic. I strongly suggest, Russ, that you get a goddamn clue and start talking like you actually have any kind of social skills. While I'm playing a character here, one that accents and accentuates my actual opinions for comedic effect, goes a little overboard regularly, but still holds mostly true to how I feel about things. You, like so many apologists, are being genuinely yourself, which is fine, except for the fact that it always seems to betray such ridiculous levels of disrespect, of outright bigotry and hatred, even in subtle, disguised ways, that one can only wonder how you actually behave out in public and in real society. One wonders what your exposure to people who don't take kindly to such language would be, who would be rightfully indignant over your use of such words. Come to Memphis and say that to somebody, Russ. Get into a discussion with someone random and call him boy. See where that gets you. Go to Atlanta and do that and see where it gets you. Go to New Orleans and do that and see where it gets you. I'll wait.
What would he answer? What would be his answer? Well, science knows. God would say, what's science? Science is things that we can...
Good point, New Mexico. I mean, just about any state, but, you know, me being located in Memphis and knowing a bit about some of the adjacent major cities and demographics and the like, yeah.
Observe, study, test, and demonstrate. Okay? So, let's take a look at this false equivocation of, okay, a forensic science. We might as well throw out all the forensics, okay? Because the forensic scientist wasn't there. Okay? Let's say the forensic scientist arrives to the scene 5 minutes after somebody's been shot dead.
It doesn't fucking matter any of your hypothetical. Evidence is going to be there via a methodology that is the science of forensics. The evidence is going to be gathered and contrasted with various testimonies, other pieces of evidence that may be tangentially related, like security camera footage. It's just a hypothetical. Transaction records. Someone was getting gas at the time, so with their credit card. So there's no way they could have been down the block committing the murder or something. Any number of things. In the same way, we understand the basics of reality, the consistency of many properties in the universe. They can't be inconsistent lest reality effectively break down. And as we work backwards, we realize what is most likely, most evidently, going to be the past. up to that wonderful point of the hypothetical singularity, the moment of cosmic expansion and beginning of inflation, where all the math breaks down. Ain't got a freaking clue before that, but hey, we can ponder, and that's absolutely fine. But it's the same logic being used, and so your rejection of one because it doesn't work with your magic book of bullshit does mean that you should, if you're being intellectually honest, reject the other, but you don't because it doesn't conflict. You want to have your cake and eat it too, you fuckface.
Okay? Or somebody killed. Okay? Let's just say. What does that forensic scientist do? Okay? He observes, right?
What does a forensic scientist do? Dramatic pause. Talking to people like they're fucking morons.
He looks around, takes pictures. Okay? He studies the evidence, right? Collects the evidence, takes it back to the crime lab, sits down and sifts through what's going on. Okay? Performs an autopsy on the body, right? To see what actually happened. Because sometimes the most obvious choice isn't always the right one. A person may have been bludgeoned before they were shot. A person may have been shot before they were bludgeoned, like they may have fallen down and hit their head, right? And that's not what killed them. Okay? The shot may have killed them. They may have been dead before they even hit the floor. Okay? So they have to determine the cause of death, right? Then they have to determine what...
Oh my god, you're rivaling Hovind for over-explaining shit. I literally went through the entire thing, this entire thing, in a minute. You're going to spend probably the next 3 solid on just this part of it.
What was the murder weapon? What was this? What was that? They do observe, study, test, and demonstrate to figure out how everything works. Okay? That's science, not science! Exclamation point, trademarked. Okay?
What in the goddamn hell even was that? Whatever.
Because the whole point of that is that if you can do that stuff, then you can lay out a chain. Okay? And you can take that chain back to here's what it is. But that's just a person, like, say, pulling a trigger on a gun or smashing somebody over the head with a blunt object. Okay?
You ever notice how graphic and rather violent Christians always are? It's always this. Spend a lot of time fixated on these kinds of things too. Really disturbing.
That doesn't give you the motive of why they did it.
What the hell was that? It's like all of a sudden he just had the mucus ball from hell come up. I've been there, dude.
Anything else. Hence, why we have forensic science. And so, no, sarcastic skeptic, that's not the whole reason. Okay? Ken Ham is not saying dismiss all of science. This is the false...
Except he is.
Equivocation. See, he said, Ken Ham says that because we weren't there for the evolutionary timeline of billions of years or the creation timeline of 6,000 years, we weren't there. So we can't equivocally trust everything being said to us today. That's why...
You know, Russ, Ken Ham is a big boy. He can defend himself.
Why his quote is, we weren't there. Okay? Because...
God, he's just like Hovind. Every bodily function possible going through. I mean, sometimes I forget to mute and y'all hear something. Sometimes it's funny, but you just don't give a fuck.
We weren't there. Now, that doesn't mean that we dismiss all of science. It doesn't mean that we don't observe, study, test, and demonstrate. But you have to go about it in the right way.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to be the arbiter of what is correct science and what isn't, just like Hovind.
Because if you don't, you end up getting off into the weeds. And you end up presupposing things that may or may not have happened. And you can't equivocally prove that those things happened or not. You see what I'm saying? Science is not settled. This guy's acting like science is just completely settled on the matter. Everything.
No, but at a certain point of confidence, other ideas are outright ridiculous. A certain point of understanding, a certain point of realizing this is how reality is. Other propositions are just outright absurd. And it's reasonable to throw them out on such grounds. We understand more about the universe than you idiots think.
Happened this way, and we know it happened this way, so screw you guys if you don't think the same way as me. Trust me, bro. That's his logic. That's his logic. And that's the problem. This whole trust me, bro mentality. Okay?
Oh, you mean the same mentality that all of religion is based on? Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. Book says a thing. Trust it, bro. You dense, irritating worm.
It's like, trust me because I said so. No. That's not how it works. Okay? That's another fallacy called argument from consensus.
Oh, and of course he's going to be one of those idiots who everything is a logical fallacy. He's got to bring it up every time. Oh, that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. The fallacy of calling everything a fallacy. Tell you, the biggest mistake the logical side of discourse made was explaining logical fallacies to these idiots, because instead of learning to not make them, they instead just accuse everyone else of making them constantly. It's so beautifully pathetic.
The majority of scientists say it happened this way, so who are you to question? Doesn't matter what the majority of scientists say. The IPCC is 2,500 people, okay, only 5 of which are actual climate scientists, and they're saying that the Earth is going to end in 12 years. Should we believe them?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. It sounds like just some right-wing bullshit you got off Fox News, where someone is misinterpreting something that's suggesting that changes need to happen sooner than later or reach another irreversible state like we've already had a few times in the past couple of decades. And y'all are running it over like, oh, they say the world's going to end, from the same group that's a death cult that is obsessed with the concept of the end of the world. And half your people constantly predict it. Hovind in 2028. Come on now.
Because the consensus is that? Or should we actually listen to actual climate scientists who are saying you're just being alarmist, we shouldn't worry about that. We should take care of our climate, but it's not us who's affecting...
I'm going to need citations for all this, Russ. But I don't care. Get to your fucking point.
As much of a change as, like, say, the IPCC thinks. And there are a bunch of climate scientists around the world who are saying this, but they are shouted down by the consensus. It's the same way in academia.
Ooh, is the consensus part of they? Are they behind it, Russ? Inquiring minds want to know.
Okay? If you'd ever bothered to watch Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed.
You're gonna bring up that stupid ass fucking movie. God damn. You're a fucking tool, Russ. You're a broken ass garden hoe. That's how much of a tool you are. I would call you a screwdriver, but screwdrivers are actually useful. Christ, you're fucking stupid, man.
This is an amazing documentary because it's not talking about God, it's not talking about creationism, it's talking about intelligent design. Okay?
Oh yeah, is creationism. by another name. How fucking stupid do you think people are, Russ? We all know that. Everyone fucking knows that. You know it even without being told it. Oh, intelligence design. Well, what's the intelligence? I don't know. Every fucker ends up saying, oh no, oh God. Of course they do. It's not hard to extrapolate that everyone pushing for ID happens to be Christian. Kind of goes hand in hand, happens to be young earther and believes things were created. And that's ignoring the typographical changes in of pandas and people that didn't get copied or converted over correctly because of a typo.
Okay, which is a completely different thing that includes creationism as an umbrella. Now, a lot of atheists out there and a lot of evolutionists will say, oh, intelligent design, that's just a buzzword for creationism. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Because intelligent design just says there's something out there beyond us.
Yeah, and the end result is everyone involved in the intelligent design movement wants to push it towards the Abrahamic God. That's the whole tactic. Idiot.
Be it God, be it aliens, be it something out there that gave rise to us because of what we see around us. It's an umbrella term, okay, that just happens to include creationism, because creationism says that there is an intelligent higher being that we call God the Father, okay, with God the Son and God the Holy Spirit, who created the earth in 6 days.
Oh, you go on and talk about ID not being that, but then you immediately explain that ID is exactly that. Wow, you're so fucking stupid.
About 6,000 years ago, okay? But the people, the evolutionists in academia, are throwing out the intelligent design people because they don't want their worldview challenged. Now, who's the closed-minded one in that? Is it the intelligent design person who might still believe in evolution because they believe in something called panspermia, which is that...
Oh my God, this man's just going off the fucking rails. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And he's only made it like 3 minutes, into the video he's watching. We're 26 minutes into his video, and I've been going for just shy of an hour here. I don't have anything else to add right now. I think this is a good place to stop. I got some stuff I got to take care of. May or may not do something later. I need to go eat an actual breakfast. I was having fun for a bit, but then this man just went stupider and stupider. And at this stage, after Amot, I don't quite have the energy for it. So we're going to call things here. We may come back on this one. Who knows? If you want me to cover more of Russ's insanity, I'd be more than happy to. We'll just see where things go. Where thing goes. I should look at one of his videos on actual, a film or a game or something, and judge his critiques on that. That might be an interesting off take. But yeah, that's the end of that. Nominate the Nova documentary about Kitzmiller Dover trial. Yep, very good one. Right, then it ends. Yeah, Dog Walker. Sorry, pop it in right at the end. But hey, go back. This one gets pretty fun. But yeah, that was a look at Russ's Movie Corner and his chicanery that he's still up to. He didn't learn anything after Emma Thorne, and that's fine. You know, it is what it is. Just provides more content to enjoy. And by enjoy, I mean rip into. But that is the end of that for the foreseeable. I'm going to go finish out my afternoon, maybe stream later, maybe not. Just stay tuned in the usual sources. As always, much love, and I will catch everyone next time.